Peace and blessings, family. We got another powerful show. We are talking about health today. Um, it's going to be powerful. So, you know how we do. Let's start the show.
You are now tuned in to Real Truth and Power, the show that uplifts the community with health, wealth, and knowledge of self. Here's your host, Everett Winchester.
All right. Peace and blessings, family. I got another powerful interview. We're interviewing CEO Hope McKenzie of the Pretty V Suite. I know that sounds a little crazy, so we want to educate you guys on some health. We are talking health. We're talking women's health, men too, but specifically women. And let me bring in my guests and let's get into it. All right, peace and blessings. I'm so blessed to bring in my guest, Miss Hope McKenzie from Sitting Pretty V Suite. Miss McKenzie, please tell the family a little bit about yourself and your background.
Well, blessings to you as well. Blessings to all your listeners. Again, my name is Hope McKenzie. I reside in Tempe, Arizona, where my business is, Sitting Pretty V Suite. I'm 59 years old, and that's pertinent. I say that because it's pertinent to my experience of what got me on the road to this journey. I have 3 adult children. I've lived in, because I want to have fans from everywhere, okay? I was born in Iowa.
Oh, wow.
I lived in St. Louis. I lived in Kansas, Junction City, right outside of Fort Riley. Big Red One. Lived in Chicago for a huge expansion of my life, and I do call Chicago, and I lived in Los Angeles. So between Chicago and Los Angeles, those are the 2 that I really used to call home.
Oh, wow. My niece actually, she just graduated from the University of Chicago. So
yeah.
So that's the
and Chicago had a lot to do with, again, this journey to where I am right now. So we'll talk about that later. But I have had multiple jobs that I was successful with. My first husband and I, we owned a very lucrative mortgage company in Chicago. We did really well. I've been in hotels. I was a concierge for a 5-star hotel. I am still a flight attendant instructor, but I am on leave of absence with the climate as it is right now with COVID. So I was working my business, growing it slowly, but COVID has brought in an opportunity for me to really focus on growing my business, especially since I don't think I'll go back to being a flight attendant instructor.
Well, we push business entrepreneurship on Real Truth and Power, so we're going to get you going. I'm blessed that you are actually sharing your business and your story with us. Let's get into it. What is Sitting Pretty V Suite? What is that all about?
Well, Sitting Pretty V Suite, let's talk about the V. The V is the initial V for vaginal. So it's Sitting Pretty Vaginal Suite, technically.
Okay.
But to make it sound prettier and more inviting, it's Sitting Pretty V Suite. But what I do is vaginal steaming, which is an ancient holistic treatment for women. Well, let me take that back. It is an ancient treatment for the reproductive system because men do steam.
But let me go back because you throw me all off when you say the men's steam. So your business focuses on vaginal steaming, and then you threw some words at me. Break that down a little bit. What is vaginal steaming? What is the process? I can assume that someone's getting the vagina steam, but like It seems kind of crazy to me, you know?
Well, yes. And again, it's an ancient treatment. Vaginal steaming is when a woman sits over a pot of steaming water.
Mm-hmm.
It can just be steaming water. It can have Epsom salts in it. It can, or here, I mostly steam with herbs that are, the properties are directed distinctly towards what the client and I are our end goal.
Okay.
So if I have several women that have fertility issues, and instead of them going to get Western medicine help,
Mm-hmm.
they're getting some global earth medicine here.
Wow. Wow.
So, and I have to be careful because that word medicine gets a little tricky. So I'll take that out and I'll say they're getting some global exposure, love, and self-care.
Now, elaborate a little bit on this, because you said something about, you know, helping reproduce and, you know, things of that nature. And I'm just lost at how steaming with herbs would do that. Like, how does that work?
Well, first and foremost, I heard your interview with the cold press juice lady, and I heard her garden, about her garden and her herbs and all of those things. And as we know, herbs have different properties. If you have a stomach ache, you can drink some peppermint tea, and that peppermint tea will calm that stomach down. Ginger can calm the stomach, different things like that. So what happens is, we make this herbal preparation after doing a intake questionnaire to find out what the end goal is. The end goal may be just self-care, coming into this environment where I purposefully am focusing on all five senses. When you come in, it smells beautiful. I'm very proud to say that I get a lot of compliments about the visual. I usually have music that is geared towards my clientele. When I have the younger people come in, I'll put on like some, maybe some Her or something like that, but it's very quiet. And I just set an atmosphere, a tone of relaxation in a luxury environment. So they come in, I've already reviewed their questionnaire.
Mm-hmm.
I supply a garment for them, and typically the garment that is used traditionally is called a cloak. I don't use a cloak because here in Arizona today, I think we're supposed to hit 114. It's already 112, and it's just a little after 2:00. And yeah. And so what cloaking does is causes a full body detox, because it's actually up to your neck and it covers the whole body. So while you're steaming, it's upping your body heat too. So you actually start perspiring all over. I don't use a cloak because with it being as hot as it is here, from a liability perspective, I don't really know how much hydration the person that is in my seat has had that day.
Right.
Then they come in here and steam, and then they go outside in 114 degree. And so for a liability perspective, I chose an alternate garment. I put a lot of thought into everything because it's not just the present experience that I'm building. It's really an experience to open women up to alternative healing, especially women of color. And that comes from never really hearing about an alternative for healing. My age group, the elders always, you better call the doctor.
Right.
When we were little, we used to take maybe some castor oil or something like that, things like that. But as I got older, it was always back to go to the doctor. And so my purpose really is to provide information and a resource for women that is alternative to what I call the double P's, pills or procedures, because that's what you're going to get offered.
Right. I think it's very phenomenal that you are doing like holistic type of healing and natural things, because we don't get a lot of that. Like you say, a lot of people are always saying, go to the doctors, go to the doctors. Me having 4 daughters, I think it's very crucial that they know about keeping the body up to par, keeping the body healthy. Just go into how the vaginal steaming not only does some health benefits, but as far as just the overall health of what I consider a very important part of the woman's body.
I love the way you brought that in. As much as Sitting Pretty is for the healing and care of the reproductive area, I have found in my work, I've been doing this for 17 months now, that what happens is, let's liken a steam to a facial. Have you ever had a facial ever?
Yes, they feel good.
Okay.
They feel
So
good.
one of the first things they do is they give you a towel to wipe your face off, just to get the surface impurities off. Okay. Next thing they do is they apply steam. What does steam do? It softens, it loosens, and it starts the process of lifting things up so that it can be extracted.
Right.
And properly cleansed. Same premise with steaming. It's an infusion into the reproductive area. It causes cellular stimulation, moisturization. It can help. Right now, a lot of my clients are having issues with heat-related or heat-activated things like bacterial vaginosis and yeast. Those things thrive on heat and moisture, and it's 114 degrees outside.
That's crazy.
So they come in, they get steamed, they get refreshed. The herbs that I use start attacking that bacteria and calming that down to give them some relief. But to what you were saying, especially about having 4 daughters, I grew up in a home, and there was 4 girls, and 4 girls and 3 boys, and we were a big home. We were very active, and we were stair steps. So there was always a lot of people in our house, a lot of friends, a lot of female friends. And when we would have these passive conversations when we weren't feeling well, it was very distinct what I remember. It was always, oh, I'm having these cramps. My cramps hurt so bad. Oh my God, I'm in so much pain. And that was it. We were sometimes told to go lay down, somebody make her a hot water bottle or something like that. But we were mentally trained to accept that's just the way it was.
Right.
And so if you did go to the doctor for whatever reason and you brought it up, a lot of times a pill or a procedure was what was offered to you to what was my experience after I started doing this, and I reflected back on my journey. I started my cycle in the 4th grade at 9. We had just had the movie, Boys in the Library, Boys in the Gym, Girls in the Library. We had just had the information given to us. I started my cycle. I don't really remember how old I was when the pain started, but I literally had debilitating menstrual cycles where my sisters used to call it the under the table cramps, because one minute I was with the family, the next minute I was on the floor somewhere just crying. And again, the only real resource for relief that I was given was the pill. Naturally, they didn't give me the pill when I was 9. So somewhere along in there, they start giving me the pill. And when I reflected back, what I realized was the pain never went away. It just was regulated.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
It
That's what
was
those pills
scheduled.
do.
So in my mind, I was more prepared for the pain mentally, but it didn't go away. That was my experience. Now, you do get some women that will say that they were given the pain. I mean, they were given the pill and it helped with the pain. Or you'll get women that'll say, well, it took my period away all the way. That's not normal.
Right. Right.
That's not normal. So a lot of times what I'm hearing is that women were offered things and they accepted it as being their only way to feel better.
Mm-hmm.
Well, it's been almost 2 years ago. I was ear hustling my daughter and her friends. She was 24 at the time. They were getting ready to go out clubbing, and I just had all this female energy in my house, and I'm in my bedroom and I'm listening, and they start talking about vaginal steaming, and I was like, what? Because as a mother, you want to know, especially what your daughters are entertaining. As a father, you want to know what your daughters are entertaining, your sons are entertaining, because this whole reproductive thing, it really does melt itself into the whole sexual experience.
Okay.
And we'll talk about that a little bit too, because that's what comes out in here.
Right.
So my journey was the pill, 3 DNCs, and a DNC is the same procedure they use when you're having an abortion. It's just not an abortion because there's no fetus, but they're scraping you. They're cleaning you out.
I never knew that.
Yeah. So it hurts. It's painful. But it helps, but it's temporary.
Right.
It's temporary. And so I ended up over time having 3 of those. I had 3 children in the interim, all of that. But I still always had this horrible, horrible menstrual cycle. Heavy bleeding, pain, sickness, and pill or procedure was always my option. So to hear them talking about this vaginal steaming, and so I came out to make sure I heard what I heard, because I had never heard of it either. And so they were like, yeah, we saw it on the Housewives. And I said, oh, okay, the Housewives. So when they went out, I Googled it, and literally, Everett, it took me over. I was probably up for 7 hours just researching and Googling and listening to people's testimonies on YouTube and going through people's Instagrams. And it was a whole world that, as I was probably 57 at the time or something like that, I had never even heard of as an alternative to taking a pill or getting a procedure.
Okay.
And I think that it's important that we know that there are other options out there, whether it's acupuncture, whether it's acupressure, whether it's pelvic massage. We need to know that we don't always have to settle for a pill or a procedure. And let me back up a little. Vaginal steaming can be documented back 1,000 years.
Oh, wow.
There is a drawing of, and it's actually a male, steaming, looks like an Egyptian. He's got this beautiful setting, these women with these fans over him and everything like that, under a big gazebo-like thing with drapes. It's gorgeous. I'm trying to get my hands on it. I've only seen it once.
Wow.
But he was steaming. And steaming for men comes about in a couple of categories. Hemorrhoids. Steaming can calm down the pain from hemorrhoids. It can help with the shrinking of hemorrhoids.
So hold your thought real quick, because you got me right there, because I never knew that men steamed, and now you're telling me from like ancient Egypt men were steaming. So I just wanted to hold for a minute that you take male clients, so that's phenomenal. But go. Sorry to cut you off. Go into that. So you're saying that the steaming male, it helps with the male's hemorrhoids. That's one thing that helps with.
Well, hemorrhoids is universal. Men and women get
Right.
hemorrhoids. So if it'll help a woman,
Definitely.
it'll help a man.
Right.
There are people that are now saying that men with prostate issues are getting some relief from steaming.
It makes sense.
Yes.
It makes sense.
And I so appreciate this platform to even help men now, because now you have something to hear about.
Right.
At maybe in the barbershop, you guys could start talking, and then who knows, maybe somebody that has a naturopath or someone that's into herbs and holistic things and stuff like that can expound on. I can see how that works. I actually have a gentleman here in Arizona that's looking to take full service to a whole nother level by offering steaming for men.
Wow.
He and I have talked about it. So prostate and hemorrhoids, but also lifestyle, just being clean. It's self-care. It's a cleansing process. So men do steam, couples steam. Got your anniversary coming up?
Now I want to get into that, because not only you have what I would call a shop, like a salon. So talk to me about the process as a customer, male or female, coming in and getting steamed. Talk about, the whole process of how you provide, I guess, an experience, I would say.
It's absolutely an experience. When my guests come in, they are initially provided with a rose water spray bottle that they can mist themselves to cool themselves down, to refresh themselves. The majority of my services are called the exhales, like waiting to exhale. It's a play on Arizona, waiting to exhale, relaxing, finding yourself, like that. And so they come in, they're given the rose water mist to spray themselves. They come into the suite, and again, initially their senses are just hit with the fragrance, with the visual, the music. And I have them cucumber mint water already prepared and waiting for them. And then they get dressed in their garment. So I give them their basket, and their basket contains some wipes and a garment, a fan. And they go get undressed, and they come in. At that time, I'm preparing their tea according to their questionnaire.
Got you.
So if the questionnaire says that they have hot flashes from a herbal propriety place, I'm not going to give them something I'm going to give them what's going to help them with the hot flashes. I won't give them the highest level of heat that I would give another client. So there's a method to what I'm going to give them. So they come in and they sit on these beautiful thrones that I designed myself and had custom made. This room was I think because I surrendered onto the desire to help women from a holistic perspective. And what I truly do believe is that it's definitely a spiritual experience. Because women in Asia, women in Africa, women in South America, women in Australia have been steaming for hundreds and hundreds of years.
Wow.
So without the internet and TV, who shared that with them except for a spiritual awakening at the healing properties of steam? We have steam baths all over the world. Right here in America, we have Hot Springs, Arkansas, where people go down, the healing waters of. So the wisdom that people had to use steam as a process of healing is ancient, and that spiritual connection for people to use that for health really was It just took me over. And I think the reason why, Everett, is because I looked at it like a purging process as well.
Interesting.
And what happens in the suite, this is considered a safe zone. I have 4 thrones right now, and it's considered a safe zone. I have 4 thrones, and 2 of them I call the Queen's Chambers. So those 2 can actually be closed off for a private session. But what happens if there are other women in here? Sometimes I'll have 4 women come together that know each other. One of them always, oh, you guys chat too much. I just want to sit in here and just zen out. And after a few minutes with all the laughter, because it turns into what I would liken to like a beauty shop experience. We start talking.
Right.
And that's also part of the purge. Because a lot of times you feel like, especially with, let's go back to when we're children. I've asked some males, and they know this phrase too, your privates.
Right.
When we're growing up, we're told that it's your privates. Everything below your belt is your privates.
Right.
Subliminally, that jacks us up. We don't want to talk about it. We don't want to discuss it. We don't want to think about it. It even affects us sharing it. So in here, we start talking, and women start feeling more comfortable with their experiences. And what they find out is, I'm not alone. This isn't because of something that I've done. I now have more information, and I'm going to do better to take care of me. But some things come up like community penis, and we just have to get down and talk about it, and it helps a woman find herself in that moment, because she doesn't feel so isolated if she's going through something like infidelity in a relationship. Sometimes it's infertility, or where the body, a woman has had multiple miscarriages. For her to be surrounded in a sister circle environment where women have compassion for her, it just becomes a place of purging, of emotional and spiritual purging. I've had women reveal to their friends that they have been raped, and the friends are like, hold up, why didn't you never mentioned it? Why am I finding this out in this environment? But when my energy started focusing on the young lady, I knew that there was something, and I just gently asked her a couple of times, was she okay? Because everybody else was having a good time, but she was more focused, a little bit more reserved, and things like that. I'm checking to make sure the heat is good, that it's a great experience.
Right.
And she just blurted out, I just feel like I'm purging when I got raped. And her friends were like, what the? Because she had never told anybody.
That's amazing. You are definitely providing not only a service, but it seems you're providing an atmosphere for women more specifically, but people can go and just, that just feel relaxed and get the holistic cleansing. Man, that's just powerful. If you're just tuning in, I'm here with my sister, Hope McKenzie from Arizona. We are talking about the Sitting Pretty V-Suite. And please, you guys, share this information. Hit that like, hit that subscribe button on the count of 3. 1, 2, 3, boom. Before I let you go, I just want to just get into a little bit more. But please, you got to do this, because I definitely want you to turn your camera and just show a little bit of your shop. It looks really nice. So I wanted everybody to see that, if you can.
So This is a Cameroonian ceremony hat. I didn't know that, but I just had to have it. And once I found it,
It's
I
a hat?
loved it. But that's what that is. So everything here is very yes. The way the base is, that's against the wall. It's about an 8-inch circle that you sit on your head, and it just comes up like that. It's absolutely fabulous.
Oh,
but
wow.
if you just look up a Cameroonian ceremony hat, and this one is small in comparison, and that's pretty big. So, so this is the suite,
Okay.
and it's very purposeful. Does that look? Can you see that? Can you see the waterfall?
Yes, I do see it. It's on the green thing, right?
Yeah,
Yep.
it looks like a vagina.
Yeah. Yeah.
So, the tree here represents a couple of things, but what I wanted the tree to really represent was the shades of the vagina, because women have a lot of issues about how they look visually.
Okay.
And that's because there's not enough conversation, wholesome conversation, just rich conversation to say. I tell women from the moment they walk in here, we're all built different, but we're all sisters. This is a safe zone. We're going to talk. We're going to love on each other like that. So the tree is representative of that. This is just all my girl stuff. I love girl stuff. This right here is, this is one of the thrones. Hold on. I'm going to turn on the light so you can really get the.
And break down the throne again. That's like I know you were saying you had like private things for the throne.
So this is the throne. Can you see here? Let me step back. So the throne this is just the comfort side, but this is where all the business happens right here. So can you see that?
Yep.
So this is where I put my steaming pot. Goes in here. And that's where the herbs are, right there in that drawer. You see that?
Oh yeah, I got you. I got you now. Wow.
So
they pretty much sit in the chair, and the chair has a hole so that steam can come up.
Yes.
Okay.
So this is the environment that I've created, and it's really, really about making someone feel comfortable enough when they first walk in that they can start relaxing. That's why I call it the Queen's Chamber.
Okay.
Healing comes when things come up and come out. You know, when you let go of something, you're on the process, you're on the road to healing. As long as you hold it, you're festering it. And that's what happens to women a lot. They hold in all of this stuff. And stress is one of the biggest contributors to fibroids and cysts. And African American women are the highest percentage of having fibroids. Fibroids create pain during sex. A lot of things I'm finding that contributors to breakdowns of relationships come from the lack of these conversations.
Let me ask you this.
Pain,
I'm sorry to cut you off. Let me ask you this.
No, you're fine.
Well, before I let you go, I want to get this out. Why do you think women, or specifically the Black community, lack a lot of the knowledge of proper health? Because it seems like we wing it sometimes, or we don't want to do certain things like the vaginal steaming and stuff. Why do you think we are not as educated as we should be in our community?
Again, I think that generationally, there's some factors there. We used to lean on midwives, doulas, to help us during our pregnancies, during our times. There were medicine doctors that were healers and things like that in the past. In the American society, Western medicine was pushed into our systems that we were used to doing, a more natural way to heal ourselves.
Right.
And with that, we became dependent. However, African American women, women of color, have the highest percentage of deaths during delivery and pregnancy.
Yep.
We don't get great health care. And I believe it has a lot to do with us not talking about it and not being able to challenge the person that's sitting in front of you. I don't care how much schooling he's had. As a matter of fact, I feel like you might have had too much schooling.
Mm-hmm.
Let's get basic here.
Right.
You know? And so that's really important. The dialogue, talking, and even not just woman to woman, but men need to know. Women need to say, this hurts me. This is what the doctor is telling me that I have. I have fibroids, and they're what caused me so much pain when we're being intimate. It's not that, because if you don't communicate and you're always pulling away or jerking or whatever the case may be during intimacy, but you're not explaining why, your guy could be getting a subliminal message that's not the message you're sending.
Right. Exactly.
And if you don't talk about it, you're going to get on a slippery slope. You're going to get on a slippery slope.
Well, it seems that this business is phenomenal. And again, we had Ms. Hope McKenzie from Sitting Pretty V-Suite. I'm just so blessed to have you here. I didn't know you were going to provide so much education. And now that you're also providing a service and creating this atmosphere, you mentioned that you provide education as well. That's phenomenal. If someone wanted to contact you or reach you just to get some advice or some knowledge, where could they reach you at?
Sitting Pretty V-Suite, no spaces, on Instagram. And the suite is SUITE. On Instagram, Facebook, and Google Business. However, the vaginal steaming, yoni steaming is the other word for it, the more traditional word, yoni, Y-O-N-I.
Okay.
Yoni steaming has grown across the country. Some of the bigger cities definitely have steaming suites, spas, services. Reach out to somebody local. Do your research.
I lost you there. My fault. I lost you there.
What I just showed you.
Can you hear me?
Okay.
I'm sorry. I lost you there when you said reach out to someone local. Could you repeat that for me?
I'm back.
Okay. Yes. Go ahead. You were saying reach out to someone local.
Reach out to someone local, but make sure you do your due diligence. That's really important. And if I could just add, with the due diligence, make sure that anything that you're considering that has to do with your vagina, your reproductive area, that you just don't rush to it. Do your research. And I'm bringing that up because this is a growing business, a growing service. There are a lot of retail that is coming now with this business, over-the-counter things and things like that of that nature. But you always have, I use organic herbs.
Okay.
When I first started my business, I ran out and bought these huge decanters, but I decided I wanted to supply the freshest herbs. So I go get my herbs once a week.
Okay.
You don't want somebody that's ordering herbs from who knows where.
Right.
You don't want somebody that's creating things for you to put on your privates, your yoni, your vagina, whatever you want to call it, and you haven't vetted that person to know what you're getting.
Right.
And I say that because I recently had a client that was visiting from the Midwest, and she said there's a whole bunch of stuff that goes with this, Everett. It's yoni eggs, yoni wands, yoni
Wow.
pearls, yoni sprays.
Wow.
And
Wow.
she had used what's called a yoni pearl, and it's a small ball of herbs.
Okay.
Inserted it into herself and had an allergic reaction.
Oh man.
There's nothing you can do. There's nothing you can do. So when somebody sends you something, you want to make sure their herb list is on that.
Okay.
They don't have to reveal how much of something is used. But if you're allergic to lavender, which lavender is a herb that is commonly used when people have bacterial issues, you don't want to use that if that's something that someone has an allergy to. So it's really important that people do their research. I don't want to put vaginal steaming, yoni steaming out there as the end all be all and not put a disclaimer. You really need to make sure that the person that you ensure that you are going to allow to service you in such an intimate way is not just doing something because it's new, because it's making money.
Mm-hmm.
No. It's care, and you really need it. The young lady sat here and she said it was the worst experience of her life.
Wow. Well, I'm glad that you do like the surveys and the questionnaires too. So hopefully if they decide to go, then they notice that they're not getting any questionnaires, anything that could be a huge,
Absolutely.
huge flag to be like, wait a minute, what herbs are you using? I mean, my mind's spinning right now because I've learned so much. It's just crazy how you broke everything down. Miss Hope McKenzie, Pretty V Sweet, I just want to thank you so much for allowing our platform to get more knowledge. And please, please, please come back again when you got something else going on. I'd love to share it with the people.
I would love to come back and talk to you about the lower heart.
Oh, yeah, we definitely got to do that. Let's set that up. Set that up.
Thank you so much. I really appreciate you, Everett. I hope that I have been able to provide, even if it's just like it happened to me, you hear something and it takes you on a journey to find out more. There's other things that we can do besides the 2 P's, the pill or the procedure. That's and right. We have a right to at least look into those things and consider those things.
Thank you so much again, and I'll be talking to you soon.
Blessings.
Peace. All right, man. That was our sister, Ms. Hope McKenzie, and she did a phenomenal job. I just want to give her a big round of applause. Man, whenever we can support our sisters, she's an entrepreneur. The name of her company is Sitting Pretty V Sweet. So please, please go to Instagram, go to Facebook. You can find her out. Her number, 623-282-2755. That's 623-282-2755. Hit the rewind if you have to, and you can get all of her Instagram, her Facebook, and I believe her phone number as well. If you're in the Arizona area, please call her. She only does by appointments only. But if you want to just give her a call and get some information about yoni or vaginal steaming, and of course, like she said, brothers do it too. So I want to shout her out. Man, what a phenomenal interview. And also, man, if you guys don't know, I'm a huge Ravens fan. We lost a huge member of our community, my brother Mo Gabba. He was blind, had some health issues, but still maintained to call up on the radio shows. And, man, it kind of hit me, man. He just was a great inspiration, and I believe he passed away. I'm not even sure of his age. Young child. And just want to kick him a shout out. And you know, we're out of here, man. Strictly, please check these shows out. Sean Davis show is coming up next. She has a cooking show. Seriously Joking Brother Jay Rich show just dropped. Sean Davis is next with her cooking show, and it should be premiering this week. Collective Black People Movement. If you are not aware, it's a phenomenal organization. We take the skills and talents of Black people all over the world, get them together to uplift the Black community. Shout out to my brother Roz, and everybody else in the Collective Black People Movement, Brother John, Sister Tania, and we are out of here, man. For all those also, we will be we're trying to get together at UNIA in Baltimore. So please hit me up. The email is realtruthandpower@gmail.com. And again, please support our sister Hope McKenzie. If you need any information about holistic health, man, she's the one to talk to, especially about the steaming of the private area. Let's say that. And man, I'm out of here, man. Much respect. R.I.P. Mo Gabba. Hotep.
Real truth and power, health, wealth, knowledge of self, uplifting the community. Let's talk about it. Real truth and power, health, knowledge of self, uplifting the community. Let's talk about it.
Thank you for tuning into the Real Truth and Power Live podcast, where we provide health, wealth, and knowledge of self. Thank you for tuning in, and please hit that subscribe button.
Uplifting the community. Let's talk about it. Real truth and power, health, wealth, knowledge of self, uplifting the community. Let's talk about it.
Hotep.